Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show. As always, coming at you, I guess not always, but Tuesdays, we're trying this out at 5-ish Pacific time, 8-ish Eastern. As always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Solop. Andrew, how's it go, my man?
All is well. How are you, Coach Nick?
I'm doing well. I just kind of like trying to keep organized here, keep my head down, trying to figure out what's going on with Anthony Davis, figure out Grayson Allen. I was a little cheeky today on Twitter with Grayson Allen, and I had to mute it, mute that tweet, and that conversation didn't go over so well because I don't know. I was having lunch with a buddy of mine, and we were just kind of, we were always talking about NBA and cracking wise. And it was his idea. I thought it was a good tweet. I said, Grayson Allen should be suspended for the exact same number of games as Alex Caruso is out injured with his broken wrist or whatever. Let's just say people in Wisconsin were not so happy with that take at all.
Do you feel that should matter, the result of a foul and one's penalty?
So, now, of course, you could have asked me that before I set the tweet out because, right, what if the guy does that? It's equally dirty, but nothing happens to him like we saw with somebody else, which we'll talk about in a second. Right, you can't base it on what the injury is, but I do think it was ridiculous. I do think that the what Grayson Allen ended up doing at the end was so much more of a attempt to look like, hurt him that just seemed like something needs to be done. And granted, the 1 game suspension is probably fine, but there just seems to be a little bit of a history here with him.
Yes.
And so you have to wonder, and I'm not talking about, hey, be cool, man, like don't play hard. We're just talking about you have to be much smarter than that. Now, did you see the tweet I had released a couple nights ago about LeBron and his play on with Jalen Suggs going up in the air?
Tell me more.
So Jalen Suggs goes up off 2 feet and was going to just posterize them. Taylor Horton-Tucker comes over from the weak side and gets up with him, and all sorts of contact in the head, neck, chest area. So it looks awful. I don't know how he got up from that, but he lands all like prone, from way up, and he can really get up. So when I looked at it again as on the replay, what you see is LeBron underneath give him a shove while he is completely up in the air, completely exposed. So I pointed this out, and I kind of pointed it out not necessarily to roast LeBron specifically. It didn't really necessarily matter who it was. I pointed it out because I wanted to make sure like people understand whatever level you're playing at, that's bad. You cannot afford to shove somebody, even if it's light, while they're in midair. And that was the teaching moment I thought would be good. And it got around. People responded to it, but it's troubling. Are you familiar with that? And if you're being in the air and getting some kind of contact that can really cause havoc?
Yeah, it's the worst. It usually happens with players that can't really play basketball. Like, players that actually play basketball, they're not going to do that to you for the most part. Especially if you're in front of them, they'll never push you while in the air. It's a code, and not to do things like that.
Right. It's weird. Here's a story from my past. The first coaching job I had was at my old grammar school. And I went back there at, right out of college, and, I didn't know anybody there. The coach was not the same at all. He was just some PE teacher who was just a real annoying, whatever. Ben, if you're out there, you were an awful coach and a really annoying person. And just kind of like, he was a guy who probably played a little bit of basketball, but had no idea about the game. And I'm coming in there, I was helping, I was volunteering. I had, just spent a couple of years at a D1 program learning how to coach. But I remember the point guard on our team gets stripped at half court. So the other kid's going down, he's going to lay it in. And I hear the coach next to me, the head coach next to me, scream out, foul him. And I mean, he's behind him completely, right? It's a total breakaway layup. And so I turned to him quietly. I didn't yell, I didn't say it out loud for everyone else here. I said, you can't do that. And he got up and started screaming and yelling and tried to like force me to go sit at the end of the bench or all this kind of stuff. It was ridiculous. And the reason why is because you've seen that, especially at this is an 8th grade game. The kid's just going to shove him in the back while he's up in the air. He's going to land in the cinder block wall with stitches or whatever. So, I feel strongly about that. And if you're an assistant coach and you're a part of that, you're well within your bounds to tell the head coach, you can't do that and understand why. So anyway,
a push or a wrap is no good from behind. I think they could both lead to injury. Like just fouling from behind is not it. Like maybe going to board the basketball off the glass, if you're that type of player, is fine, and getting a foul like that. But besides that, I mean, nothing good could happen.
Did you see Andrew Bogut and Amari Stoudemire were kind of getting at it on Twitter? It's weird. I don't often spend a lot of time in the scrolling in the feed, but no. So Amari Stoudemire comes out yelling at Grayson Allen for what he did, right? And I think we can all agree he was wrong, and whatever the penalty should be is whatever. But Andrew Bogut, Amari Stoudemire demanded more than one game, and there's no place for this. Well. I didn't remember this, but do you remember Andrew Bogut's injury when he was in the full court and landed on his arm and like just mangled his arm and was out for like a year? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that.
Like I had remembered it, but I didn't forgot what the circumstances were. Do you know who gave him a little bit of a shove from behind while he was up there at the rim? Amari Stoudemire.
Amari?
Yeah. And so Bogut was like, why don't you sit this one out? And he has another good point. So we're getting some chippiness on Twitter here with a lot of different people. And Bogut, for however much you want to enjoy his viewpoints these days, which are troublesome to say the least, at the very least, he was right. And he made a really good point about that. And either way, it's interesting. But I think it's that code you're talking about, too, especially at the NBA level when there's so much at stake with your families and your life, your whole life is there. To get injured on something like that, there's just no place for that anymore. Ironically, growing up for me, I mean, that was nothing. Like the guys would throw down and try and get in fights and push and injure each other. It looked like.
I mean, it could change the trajectory of somebody's career doing something like that. Like they could be out for a year, they never come back the same. Their whole life changes, So that's why you don't do things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Now let's get into some of the things about YouTube before I get too long into the show. Is if you want to come on and talk to us, you can. The link is in the description below. Maybe I'll even throw the link into the comments too, so you see it there. But we definitely want to hear from you. And if you want your comments to get noticed and we can address them and answer your questions, the best way to do that is to do the super chat, and that will get our attention and big shout outs. We'll put your question on the screen and share it with everybody out there. So please feel free to do that. And share it on Twitter with everybody. Let them know you're all here so we can have a nice big conversation with people. AD, the title of the show was about Anthony Davis coming back, and we were treated to a first quarter run. He played about 5 or 6 minutes in that first quarter. Did you get a chance to check it out, Combo? Because I did really quickly.
I watched a little bit. Actually, what struck me the most from the time that I was watching was the Lakers' ball movement was looking a little bit better. They were playing a little bit faster, a little bit more like a modern-looking style. It looked a little bit better today from what I was watching.
Yeah, and like did Russ look better? Did he kind of finish? He finished one, but he missed another layup, and that was in the same way, and like in all the sort of traffic in inside, which he just forces stuff up. But as far as Anthony Davis goes, he looked amazing. He comes out and blocks Harden a couple times. He all of a sudden, like the defense they didn't have at all is it's still not there, but he is back there to like cover up for all that stuff. And that was great to see. I think it was at least 2 blocks. They had an alley-oop to start the game. That was like, whoa, like where have you been this whole time from LeBron to him, which we'd seen, endless times the last 3 years anyway. So it was a really nice shot in the arm. The problem though, is that when you look at the score, even though they had this jolt of energy and he was playing well, he must've made, 8 great plays in 5 minutes. They were still losing, or it was tied. And this is a team they're playing, the Nets team, that only has James Harden right now. So that's another interesting issue. Let's check on the score real quick while we're talking because I'm curious.
Lakers are up 9.
They're up 9.5. So they were able to take control in that second half, which is interesting because I wonder Anthony Davis ended up playing. Let's see, how many minutes does he have? So he got 13 minutes. So he probably played half the second quarter. So that's an interesting thing. So it'll be worth probably a video, I guess, a quickie maybe to get out tomorrow to look what's going on.
Yeah, Malik Monk was knocking down shots, and Carmelo's impact has been really good. I mean, his stats don't look too crazy, but his impact, he hit a big 3 at the right moment. He made a few nice passes.
Oh my God! Malik Monk has 16 points. Oh, jeez.
I like what Carmelo was doing this year. Obviously, his defense isn't his strength, but he's trying. He's communicating.
Yeah. In the video I did on Sunday, so I dropped a really big one. What's wrong with the Lakers? Which I might have to do an apology for at this point if they turn it around. But it was the defense was really. I mean, listen, I showed the Russ stuff. I actually had a really cool segment I really enjoyed even doing was Russ's bank shots and explaining why he's so off with them, and then I used Tim Duncan. Like here's how the best bank shot guy in the modern era made them, And then here's what Russ is trying to do, and basically is making them impossible to make. You cannot, there almost is no, when I say zero margin for error, there's almost like zero possibility of the shot going in when he shoots that much arc on a 16-footer from the wing. Like there's nothing you can do to make that shot go in, as far as I can tell. Maybe you hit the 1/2 inch area on the board that you could get in there, but other than that, like, you know, if you're off by more than that, you're going to miss, and it's going to miss wildly. But the defense was a real issue, and playing Melo at the 5 was a real issue. Now, that gets cleared up if they're going to try and do that when they have AD in there, because now AD will play the 5. But what was frustrating to me, I guess we're going to, you know, another LeBron thing is LeBron is out there, but he's not playing the 5 on defense. He's making Melo do it almost every single time. That's just not fair to Melo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to do when they play like the Nuggets or teams with real bigs? You know, it's going to be tough for them. So,
well, that too, but it's like Melo is never going to be a drop pick and roll 5 guy,
right?
You know,
he didn't do it his whole career. He's just yeah.
And LeVert's like just going right at him and hitting acrobatic shots or layups or whatever. It's like you can see it in his face, which a lot of Syracuse players end up when they get in the league, they all have that face because they never played man to man, and all of a sudden they have to try and stop people. But it's just not fair. He's, you know, but again, it's not fair in the sense that they already have a guy much better suited to play that position next to him on the court, and he won't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah, you're basically saying that Carmelo's going to have big problems trying to anchor a defense,
right? You know, yeah. and I'm also calling out LeBron. I'm saying, LeBron, you should be playing that position. Now, even in this first quarter against the Nets, we saw LeBron, he has no interest in contesting anything around the rim. It's just he doesn't want to get hurt or doesn't want to expend too much energy in that end. I don't know exactly what the root of it is, but he will close out.
Load management. That's load management. I mean, he is averaging 29 a game right now, and he's probably saving a lot of it for the offensive side, right?
Yeah, but the other thing is I want to see, and it's a sort of a thing, it's like they're going to wear the guy out. Is he still averaging 37 minutes? Let me see. He's averaging almost 37 minutes a game. I mean, it's preposterous that at this age that's what they're going to do. He should be playing 32, 33. But again, they can't win any game without him playing 37. That's the problem they have here, is what's going to happen in the playoffs. Well, anyway, we got someone who wants to come on the show. We got Martin. Let's bring him on and see what he has to say. Martin, what's up, my man?
Up? I'm good, Coach. I want to talk about free throws.
Okay.
What do you think about Russell Westbrook's free throw mechanics? Because his first 9 seasons, he shot 80%, and now it dropped to 65, 67%. What's your thoughts on his free throw shooting?
One thing that people were trying to say, which I wasn't really sold on, was that he used to be able to take so much time before free throws that had something to do with it. And maybe that is because then they changed the rules a little bit, so he had to kind of speed that up, and that seemed to be an issue. I'm going to check. Yeah, I guess you're right. He was in the 80s for almost his whole career, and then the last 2 years has been troubling. His rhythm has never been great, and his power calibration, with the way when he bends and when he straightens in his arm and flicks the wrist into the shot, it's never really been a great synchronization of things. So. I think I got to check, but my memory is right now, I haven't looked in a little while, that he ends up being kind of square to the basket when he shoots too. And I've always been the guy who's like, you got to turn and get your right shoulder and your right wrist, it's your right hip toward the basket more, which is sort of like when you see players have their right foot forward, and their left foot back a little bit. That's on the way, but I actually want your toes to be turned. And I think all those things would really help unlock some things. Combo, do you have any feelings for this?
I mean, you stole my first point. I think that was a big part of it when he wasn't allowed to walk to half court anymore and come back. I mean, that season was the season when you were no longer allowed to do that his free throw percentage dropped tremendously.
You've been in situations where you played in arenas with fans and the pressure and everyone staring at you. I mean, is that routine that might have been, so important to him for all those years? Is that really vital to be able to make that shot?
It's vital, but when we're talking about energy transfer, which is basically what you were talking about before, that's way more important, right? We don't want the ball stopping on the way up, and he has a lot of that, and that's the bigger issue.
Yeah, that's another great point. So, it looks like he's kind of settled into this thing. I think the bigger picture with Russ, and it actually applies to the point I made about the bank shots. He just doesn't seem to understand if something's not working. Nobody seems to be there to help him progress to a way where he can make it work better, right? So rather than like understand that maybe you have to shoot a lot lower arc and not when you're heavily contested on those bank shots, he just keeps shooting the same thing over and over again. And it's the same thing with the free throws. It's like he's in this thing and he keeps shooting the same way. I don't think he's going to change at this point. And that's too bad because I think that there could be a lot of improvement, believe it or not, with Russ's game. I think believe it is easy, but it's been this way for a long, long time.
Do you think Russ has a growth mindset or a fixed mindset?
I mean, it's completely fixed and rigid and angry, and it could be frustrating. I'm working really, really hard, but it's like when you're working hard and practicing bad mechanics, you're just practicing to miss, right? I can't let anyone else's voice get in my head because that might screw up my confidence. And so as a result, no one can tell him anything.
He did get to a place in the NBA where he was the MVP. He had the most triple doubles. So he feels like he doesn't want to change anything, you know? I mean, it's somewhat understandable.
I guess. When you're looking at your sub 70% free throw, you're looking at, 9 for 25 on these bank shots. That goes back farther. Remember, I did a video years ago on Russ where I had shown he really wasn't an elite finisher at the rim. He was impressive on the ones he did finish, but he was never elite in terms of field goal percentage. That was a big shocker for a lot of people. Nobody could understand that Russell Westbrook, of all people, wasn't this amazing elite finisher. He wasn't, and that was the case. He's never really been that great of a finisher.
He wasn't, but he put tremendous pressure on the rim, right? Just like how fast he got up and down the court. Like that's a lot of gravity towards the rim.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like the ones where I like guys who make the shots. But by the way, the reason why he missed, and I showed it, footwork was bad, balance was bad. He's going too fast. Like all the things that you would think get ironed out over a couple of different years of being a veteran in the NBA never got ironed out. And it's like it's a fixed mindset, and it is a wall that is as high as can be, and no one's going to penetrate. So anyway, Martin, does that explain? I hope that covered what you needed what we were asking about.
What do you think is the key to shooting?
The key to shooting 90% from the free throw line?
I think the focus should be improvement, not the percentage per se, right? Like you want to focus on the things that make you better as a free throw shooter and see incremental improvement over time.
Well, yeah, but the key to shooting all-time great is obviously you have to be able to replicate that movement over and over again in the face of muscle slack, which can occur because your mental state gets affected by the pressure of the game. And you have to be able to learn how to block that out. And everyone's different. That's the problem. There isn't a blueprint for how to, because muscle slack is the evil, is the enemy of shooting. And what I mean by that is if you let your muscles slacken to the point where now there's extra movement involved in your motion and the muscles aren't engaged properly in the right sequence, you will miss shots. So what triggers that a lot of times is the mental state of where you are. And if you are nervous and if you allow, the doubt to creep in, that's when those things happen. So
things get tight.
Yeah. So usually what the coaches will do is they'll just try and, train free throws where people are yelling at you and you're trying to recreate some version of that pressure so you can learn how to adapt and maintain your muscle. I'm forgetting what the opposite word of muscle slack is, but it's, the muscle
relaxation.
No, you actually want them not stiff, but you want them engaged, muscle engagement properly. And that's not like you're stiff and you're so tight like Russ plays like a lot of the time, but it's enough to where the muscles will fire properly in the right sequence with the right amount of energy. And that's what happens.
I think what you're saying, they did a study, like they told people to sprint at 90% and they told people to sprint at 100% and the 90% people sprinted faster. Like you don't want to be totally, you don't want to be, I don't know if that's the exact study, but it's something to that effect. And I think that is kind of what you're getting at.
That's the problem when you're talking about when you coach players like to play at 120%, you end up getting guys who are off balance and out of control. And, you work, you want to go at like 85% and then you work to make that 85% faster, right? You learn a skill and you master it and you work to get that skill quicker. But if you try, this is my problem. This is why I rail against it now is I tried to play 120% and it ultimately left me a much worse player. And I thought I had to play harder, and harder and harder, faster. You can't shoot the ball harder, right? It's like you can't do those things.
I mean, when they say young players, the game is starting to slow down for them. It's actually them slowing down, right? A lot of times.
Yeah. So there you go, Martin. I hope that gave you a good example. We got somebody else wants to come in. So thank you. Josiah, let's bring Josiah into the screen. He's out here doing what? How's it going, man?
I'm good. Continuing free throws.
Yeah.
I'm in high school, and one thing that's been working, like kind of for the bigs on my team, is shooting bank shot free throws. What are your opinions on that? I know it's kind of dumb, but like when you're like in a game and everything's so amped up, like just hitting it off the backboard is a lot better than like them trying to like do something they don't have the skill for
That's
almost.
fascinating. I'm fascinated. Okay, well, here's what I'll say about that, because obviously you probably get a little bit more leeway on power, right? You could shoot it kind of hard a lot of the time, and you would probably still be able to get it to go in. But I will say that if it's not really, really straight, you might be having a problem. Whereas you might get a few inches of leeway left or right on a free throw if you're shooting it straight in, right? Like that kind of feels that way to me. Whereas if you're off that way, then you're really in trouble on the bank shot. To me, I think that's the case. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Listen, I am that guy who's like, hey, let's look at this. Let's find out. Like maybe, but I think it's a little bit too far for my taste. I'd get a little bit nervous because you have to shoot it kind of hard, right?
Yeah, but like think about it, like with energy transfer, you don't even need to like jump. You could like it's not that hard to throw it off the glass
Are you shooting like a
because
nice
like the
arc, or
shot,
you're
like
shooting
you
it
said,
flat?
well, like kind of what you're saying with the Tim Duncan, it's like it doesn't need to be high arc. It just needs to hit it on the way down.
Right. And by the way, the benefit of a lower arc is you have more control. That's what that means. Higher arc will give you a bigger target as it's dropping down. Bank shot, interesting, but certainly when you're shooting straight in, it's a bigger target, but harder to control, which is why otherwise, yeah, you'd shoot it 80 degrees up and like let it drop straight through every time, but
Yeah.
hard to control that. Combo, talk to us.
I mean, it just reminds me they had these true balance backboards. I don't know if you ever heard of Dykeman Park. It's a big tournament, summer tournament outside, but everybody would just go out there and just beam it off the backboard, and they would never miss because these true balance backboards were super, they had so much give. This is what this conversation is bringing me to. But on a regular backboard, I wouldn't try it. I mean, I'd rather go straight in.
Yeah, but then again, listen, Josiah, if you were struggling at like 60% from the free throw line, and all of a sudden you're making 80% of bank shots, who am I? I would never tell you to not do that, right? That's working for you, right?
Yeah.
Coach,
What about the
what are your
coaches?
thoughts on the underhand back shot, Rick Barry? And he's actually his son's doing it at a really high level right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think someone on Thinking Basketball, I think he like went back in history and he said it's like a good method to get up to like 80%, but that's where it kind of caps out. And like for an NBA player,
the underhand
like
or the
that's
bank
what
shot?
he's underhand.
Well, I mean, listen,
Rick
Barry
shot
did it, and he was 90, whatever. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how he got to 80% as a number. And by the way, Rick
Or
Barry's best
I'm just
point about it.
making that up. I'm just making that up.
Okay,
But
'Cause
it
Rick
was like
Barry's best
around
point-
there. It was
he came on the show. We discussed that like a long time ago. And his best point that he makes is that, by doing an underhand, you get tired, your shoulders get tired, and lifting them over your head becomes more of a harder chore. And by keeping them, much more relaxed and underneath when you're doing underhand is actually easier to make, like in the fourth quarter at the end of a game. That to me would be like almost the best, argument to do it. And without question, it should be viable. They should shoot them more that way. I wouldn't. I mean, the only problem you have is, okay, then you have two different methods of shooting you have to master. And that that makes more time you have to spend to do it. But either way, I have no problem. I think it's a really viable way, and more players, especially if they're struggling, they should try it for sure.
Yeah, I think one other topic I want to run by you, Coach, is that Jason Tatum, he doesn't really use the hop into the shot, and he always does like a 1-2. I think that's part of his shooting struggles is that he mainly uses that 1 footwork.
Well, he traditionally in the last several years has been amazing off the dribble, like way better than the catch and shoot, which is very strange.
Yeah.
It's completely opposite for most players. And he's got interesting stuff with his shoulder and the way he'll drop it in to get the elbow underneath the ball. And so it always makes me like twitch a little bit when I watch it. And he makes a lot of those. So it's like, okay, but I've always been concerned about that. And but with him, you really got to parse out what we're talking about as far as off the dribble or catch and shoot. And by the way, which direction it's coming from his left or from his right. It's another completely different shot for everybody, but for him, it's even more because of that shoulder thing. So I would probably work on that, honestly. The shoulder thing that collapses in just seems like it's uncomfortable, and he's gotten it down to some degree, but I would be worried about that and just his ability to sort of consistently fumble the dribble. It drives me nuts as well.
Yeah. Quick question. My team is having like a really hard time on offense this season, and my coach is like, nothing works. I was gonna suggest like triangle, but what are some general like things?
Triangle, the pure triangle is difficult. You got to start from the beginning of the year and whatever, build it up.
Yeah.
But I would say pistol. I would say you can start your offense with a dribble handoff on the wing into a ball screen. Even if you're, make sure you do it on the right, on the well, if it's mostly righties in your team, doing the left side so the right is coming around on the right side. I've had 7th, 8th graders be able to do that and really and very quickly institute that offense and have them running it and getting great shots and getting downhill. And that also is, pinned down into handoff as well. All of the 21 stuff. And I think maybe if you're familiar, I've just diagrammed and stuff like that. Maybe I'll diagram it in a minute. By the way, I'm going to do my diagramming again today. So remind me, Combo.
Oh, yes. I love those.
Cool. And by the way, I'm going to have a full show where all we're doing is diagramming. So stay tuned for that once a week.
Nice.
But remind me, Combo. I'll do that in a little bit when we get that going. But I would say that all the 21 stuff, the pistol stuff, would be really easy to put in. You can do it in the practice or two. And if you're struggling as it is now, what's the difference? Like, junk it, put this stuff in. I guarantee you'll get some better stuff. Okay, Josiah?
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks. All right, we have Eli who wants to come on the stream. And don't forget, if you're out there and you want your comments noted, I didn't see anything yet, but Super Chat's the way to go. I see everybody out there. Pete is out there in Australia. And everybody, let's see, Justin's very excited that AD is back. So I'm keeping my eye on the comments. And we have Eli in here who wants to discuss, well, what do you want to discuss, Eli?
How you doing, Coach?
Good. What's happening?
I'm just going to ask, you had mentioned something, I think you mentioned it a couple of months ago maybe, about your favorite shooting strokes and whatever. And I know that there's been a recent trend in the mathematical approach that I don't really know exactly how this started, but in terms of this model where if you look at how you want the ball to enter the rim, there's some sort of 3D model where 3 basketballs should be able to fit into the rim. And that's why if you actually shoot the ball at a 45-degree angle, a much higher chance of it getting in versus how Klay Thompson shoots it, which is I'm not going to say it's a line drive, but it's not like Steph Curry's crazy arc. I think you mentioned that you rather have your players shoot the Klay Thompson way versus the Curry way. I'm just curious why.
Oh, it's funny. I actually argue this with Doc Scheffler, who's come on the show and is like Jeremy Lin's shooting coach, and we have a back and forth a lot because I really trust in his knowledge of the stuff. But he thinks it should be 41, 42, 43 degrees, which is like the Klay Thompson. I think it should be 48. Much closer.
So you think in Steph Curry? I got confused. Okay.
Now Steph Curry, it's funny because he shoots so deep. It might feel like it's even higher than that because the ball goes so high, but it's really because he's so far back that it ends up going on that same trajectory. It gets higher in some respects. But I believe, and listen, it depends if there's a guy closing out and this and that, whatever. But you're open and you have some time, whatever. I believe it's the 46, 47 degree, higher than 45 is easier, better, ideal. Combo, you have any feelings for this?
I know my shot didn't have a tremendous amount of arc, but I don't think that was on purpose. I don't know. I don't really, and I never really looked at the mathematical side of it,
Right. Well, there's a great company that was involved in the NBA. They have this awesome thing that will track the arc of your shot and also where it goes in the rim, because one of the guys was a sharpshooter in Israel. So he looks at the rim straight down as if it's a target where you're the paper target where you're shooting in. And they discovered that the best shooters bunch their shots in a much smaller radius of where the ball goes in, the center of the ball goes in, than worse shooters. And what that means, go ahead.
Remember that little rim they used to have, to put in the rim? Do you remember that training device?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think for rebounding. Used it.
Yeah,
we use it for rebounding, but you could get the ball to go in that, right? But it had to be exactly perfect, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and then there was even a smaller one than that for rebounding.
But by the way, that's not even as specific what we're talking about. It might be a great shooter. They might actually bunch their shots 3 inches off center, right? It's not directly in the middle. But they're bunched together consistently in the same spot. Now, if you're a bad shooter, maybe you do bunch them, but you're always bunched all the way to the left, like you're missing all the time that way. But that they don't actually see that. What they see mostly is the shooters that aren't good on a percentage tend to just it's the grouping of dots where they go in the rim are all over the place, and the good shooters bunch them up within like a 4-inch radius consistently. It's amazing. It looks just like when you're shooting a gun at a target. That's what it looks like to them. And I almost feel like that could revolutionize the way we teach shooting if you start to visualize the ball that way and how it's dropping in versus like staring at the rim, because again, I never understood a player who I know guys who said, yeah, I kind of aim for the air in the middle of the rim. I always needed something tangible. So I'd aim at the rim, the closest to me. People say it's the back of the rim. So, but if you visualize,
I always find that if you overthink it, it's worse. I don't know. I think it's like kind of like leaning into the muscle memory of it.
Yeah, what used to screw us up when we play like, knockout or 20, whatever. Somebody would be like, hey, do you breathe in or out when you shoot? And that was like, oh crap! Like it just the whole day was ruined because I'm like, I don't. And then I'm thinking about it, right? But another great one to do, like if you're playing in a game and the guy has to make a free throw to win the game, ask him that while he's dribbling, getting ready. But either way, there's something about that I think was really cool. The best part about the thing that measures the arc and where it goes in was you need data, and you need like in a lab, you need to have them shoot like 30 shots before you can do anything and look at it. So you can't coach them. They have to shoot, which is actually good because you don't overcoach. And I know I'm watching the guys shooting 20 or 25 in a row and I'm like desperate to say, hey, this or say this, but no, in order to get the right data, they need to shoot, the 25 or 30 without talking to them. Then you look at how the bunching is and the grouping. Then you can suggest something. Then they go back and shoot another 20. That to me is probably the best way to work with a guy, a player on a shot, than micromanaging every freaking shot he takes and trying to add something every time. That just makes it all crazy.
And that's interesting because if you think about KD makes, it seems like he's making it in the same spot in the basket every single time. And he's obviously a great shooter.
There's no question they have the data. All the good shooters, I don't think they had found one that didn't do that. Didn't have the ability to bunch. And it makes perfect sense. It's almost like, of course, but I like that idea is that you're trying to, figure out a way where you're putting the ball in, at a consistent bunching of the rim, and that will make you a consistent shooter.
I want to ask an NBA question.
Yeah.
This is not like exactly like the most underperforming team. That being said, I do think the Celtics are underperforming. Do you understand like exactly what's going on? Why Tatum and Brown can't play together? What they can do?
Well,
to fix that?
They don't have enough. I think they don't have enough connective pieces, guys, that can, connect those ISO type players. And I think the league is going away from ISO ball, and those players are kind of dependent on that. And on top of that, they're not efficient in their ISOs this season. So I think it's a big mess right now, but they definitely need like a point guard, or Tyrese Halliburton would be perfect for them, as I always say, just somebody who can connect the team.
Well, okay. Go ahead.
I feel like teams are kind of going away from the traditional, like, we have our superstar and then we have a point guard running our offense that like make sure everyone
That's true. That's true.
So
yeah.
I kind of feel like it's on Brown and Tatum to change their style and kind of get everyone more involved. Like, I kind of see them as like 4 versions of Kawhi and Paul George, of like not as talented, but still like getting their points without each other helping out. It's like you can be really good, but not great like that. And I think
but both of those guys, both of those guys are worse. Kawhi was never great at facilitating and setting people up, but he's gotten better over his years until he's, he averages like 5.5, 6 assists a game. He had gotten to a point where he was good.
He's still hogs.
Yeah, but it was never his role really to be that guy. And one of these guys, like Jaylen Brown, to me could be a shooting guard, where it's not his role. Like Klay Thompson's not going to set people up very much at all either. But when you have 2 of those guys and they're ball dominant, it's a problem. Listen, it's been well documented for me. First of all, they're shooting pretty crappy. They don't actually, their 3-point frequency is about average, which is good. I was worried it was higher than that. They're jacking up a lot of threes and they're missing a lot of them, but they're not making a lot, and that's going to hurt them because they're going to get outscored from the 3-point line more often than not. And that's going to hurt you in this league. Marcus Smart has always been the guy who I've been frustrated with to no end. And I feel like he puts a ceiling on the team no matter what you want to do with the other 2. And so whether or not you can figure out that they can work together, Smart is an issue. I don't like the Schroeder fit at all either. That's a problem for me. It just doesn't work really well where how he's playing it, to my mind. And then you get to, then they start relying on certain guys who just really aren't guys you can rely on if you want to be a good team. I'm sure they're nice guys or good locker room guys, but if you're relying on
Al Horford.
Well, Al Horford is one, but who's the stocky forward they have?
Grant Williams.
Grant Williams. He's probably playing 20 minutes a game, and if you have to play him 20 minutes a game, then you're going to have, you're not going to be a great team.
He's actually better than I thought. I used to be pretty low on him. He's actually not bad.
I don't even want to say he's bad. He's just limited, and
yeah, that's true.
And so Grant Williams, let's see, he's playing 23 minutes a game. It's like, that's the problem. He's just limited, and then it gets thin right after the top two, or three. So, that's the other reason. I don't know why Williams. Yeah.
I mean, Peyton Pritchard is somebody who's helping them a little bit right now. He's been playing really well, but he wasn't getting opportunity in the beginning of the season. I never knew why. I saw him play in Summer League, and he was head and shoulders above that competition. Yeah. So I wanted to see him play more regular season basketball, but he is a little bit now.
Yeah, I got to do a deeper dive and see what Ime is running. I want to kind of get a handle on what they're doing there because Brad is still there, so I'm sure there's still a lot of that stuff that they had from him. But yeah, it's a disappointing result from what seemed to be a really big, promising, decade of really great basketball from Boston, and now they're going to have to probably break this up. I would actually trade Tatum if I were them.
So you think the move is to split up the superstars?
Say it again.
You think the move is to split up the superstars? You don't think they can learn to coexist together?
No, I don't think so. I think the team it's just kind of a miss. The team isn't put together properly. I mean, I would trade Marcus Smart, and that would probably do something. But I would imagine.
Love them. I don't know why, but
I mean, listen, he dies for loose balls, which I don't know if you've ever. Loose balls is not my thing, but he dies for loose balls, and he hits a 3 or 2, but then he, takes really bad stuff, and it's frustrating. So. Well, listen, Eli, we have people who want to come on the show all of a sudden. We have a long queue, but thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much.
You got it. All right, Anthony.
Nick,
yes.
Coach Nick. Yeah. Oh, Anthony. Yeah, he's in the private chat. I don't know.
He is because he's probably got to go. I feel bad even making him wait, but you want to make a quick point?
Oh, no. I was just saying because he was – I didn't –
Yeah. I just realized we have a private chat. That's really cool.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, yeah.
All right, cool. So, Anthony, are you there or did we lose you? I hope he's still there, but he's muted right now. But let's see if he's going to come on. He does say, well, here's the question he asked. Maybe he'll join us in a minute. Do you think the Westbrook trade for John Wall is good? Thinking that both they are the same. Maybe Wall is just more consistent, but do you think it's going to help the Lakers to have Wall? Well, the Lakers have already come out and said they're not going to move him, right? I think that came out. It was pretty clear. Then they're not going to make a change at all. They're going to put their eggs in the basket of Anthony Davis, which I had said before, like a few weeks ago, even though the video I did on Sunday was pretty negative in theory about, the Lakers in general. I don't know whether or not, AD would shift it enough. It did feel like, there was enough competition in certain areas and certain evidence that said, geez, if they just get Anthony Davis here, then that'll fix a lot of things. So far, how are we doing right now with the score? Oh,
I don't know. But they also said there's reports that they're going with Frank Vogel for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised that you can go from we're going to fire him the next game to like just kind of guaranteeing he's going to stay, but we'll see. Well, I'm not so sure. Like, okay, the LeBron thing making Melo play the 5 while he's out there, that's not Vogel, right? No coach in their right mind would look at the 5 out there and be like, yeah, Melo, you're going to anchor the defense and protect the rim, right?
But do you think that LeBron with the IQ that he has would think that's conducive either? You know what I mean?
I just think that. Well, no. The point I'd be making then is LeBron is telling Vogel, "I am not going to do that." Right?
Yeah, I mean, but LeBron's IQ is so high, he has to know that's not the way to go.
Well, kind of, but he's also done things and controlled things that a coach should be doing, and not him. In the past, it didn't matter. He didn't necessarily recognize that. So he probably thinks that he does know all the more than maybe he does, even though he's got the highest IQ of anyone in the league without question. But there's a bit of a blind spot, as everyone does, when they're talking about yourself and what you can do and what you can't do. So, anyhow, we got some more people who want to come on. So, what do you think? We should bring them in. Let's do it.
Bring them in.
All right, Enki.
Oh wow!
Hi, how are you?
Yeah,
welcome.
Hi. I watched a video on Lakers yesterday, I think, about them coming back. And I was hoping that once they get into the playoff, once they get to play the same team for up to 7 times, I'd hope that they do better. What do you think on that?
The Lakers with Anthony Davis in the playoffs?
Like just in general, now they are having all this defensive issues and all that. Would that be kind of solved by playing the same team over and over?
Oh, right, like in a playoff series. It's a good question. I think it's a matchup thing, right? There's going to be teams that they might struggle to really handle, but as it is now, like the standings, like how high could they possibly go if AD stays healthy? By the way, and everyone else stays healthy. Right now they're 8th. Maybe they get the 6th spot, maybe, right? Let's see, because they're 8th and they are 14 and a half games behind. It's all kind of bunched up. They could maybe move 6th or 5th. They're still going to be on the road, which is going to be tough in a playoff series. And they're still going to have to deal with like what's Russell Westbrook going to do in the playoffs. I don't know if we know. It's been a little while. So I feel like the second round feels like a good place where they might end up and ending their season. What do you think, Combo?
I think that we haven't seen enough from Russell, AD, and LeBron together, and the small sample size that we have shows that they played pretty well.
Yeah,
I haven't lost all hope for them, to be honest, and I think they can make a run in the playoffs even deeper than the second round.
I always do that, and I'm always made a fool. So listen to Combo.
Yeah, me too.
And LeBron is really playing at a high level. He's the reason why they're in 8th right now. I mean, he's playing great. Malik Monk is obviously doing great, and they're finding some different things with some of their role players. But I haven't lost all hope. It's still early. I mean, I know we could say this is early forever, but we didn't even get to All-Star break. You never know how things could change.
Oh, I know. I'm trying to look up the oh, here it is. LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis 3-man lineup is 15 games, 291 minutes. Their net rating is only plus 3.7.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot lower than I had thought people were telling me. And then maybe this is the first game back for him, right? That's not that great. Plus 3.7. That's not good, by the way. So that's troubling to me. Now, again, it's small sample size, but 15 games is like 15 games is 15 games. But we need another 15 games, and then we can decide what we think about it.
Yeah, hey, and I got one more question, and then I'm probably done.
Okay.
One more question regarding the Lakers again. What do you think on LeBron's minutes? Because to me, it feels little too much. But like if I look at the Warriors and all that, the Steph minutes are very well managed. But LeBron's, I think I constantly see LeBron playing like 38 minutes the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's getting up there in the age. So what do you think about the minutes?
I'm really, really worried. He's already broken down a little bit earlier this year, and the more minutes he plays, the more likely that's going to happen again. And so in my mind, they have to somehow figure out how to get him down below 35 or at 35. And if they can't do that, then I think it's going to hurt them in the playoffs anyway. Now the playoffs, he's going to play 40 minutes a game. What's interesting about that, and Combo too, is that when Steph was playing 32 minutes a game in his MVP years, remember that they're blowing everybody out. He's playing 32, 33 minutes. The argument could then be that he's not in shape enough to play for the playoffs, to play 39 minutes, because he hasn't been doing it. And it's a mental thing too, not necessarily just your cardio. So in some respects, if LeBron can make it through and not get injured from all those extra minutes, then he's playoff ready to go and
he's in great rhythm. He's in great rhythm. What I do think is going to happen is he'll load manage a few games right before the playoffs. Actually, not right before the playoffs. I'd say like a month before, and then ramp back up towards the playoffs. If I had to guess, like we're going to see like maybe some fake small injuries. I don't want to say fake, but just load management type injuries.
Well, the only problem is they're going to obviously want to avoid the play-in, and so that's really what's going to happen. If he'll be able to do that without question, if they're a solid. The play-in is 7 through 10, right?
Yep.
So that's going to be tough. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in that position. He might not be able to load manage much. They might be in a fight to stay out of that 7th spot, and right now they're 8th. But you know what I mean. That's what you got to look for is the record.
Yeah, that is true.
All right, Enki, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Coach.
All right, the people keep coming in here. This is great. We got Terrence who wants to come on the show. Terrence, what's up, my man?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, welcome.
How you guys doing?
Good. Doing well. Thanks, Terrence.
Thank you.
What do you want to talk about?
So I had a question. So what do you think if the Lakers traded Westbrook, THT, and Nunn for John Wall and Eric Gordon? You think that would work?
I think Eric Gordon would really help him.
Yeah, I've been tweeting that and talking about that for a while. Like 2 guys that I think could really help them are Robert Covington Eric Gordon. So I mean, I think that trade definitely makes sense for the Lakers. Would Houston do that? I don't know.
Well, I
I
think
don't
they
know.
probably have to add maybe Reeves or a pick.
It's
Well,
for
you
some
don't want
reason.
I think if
It
they
sounds like
traded,
Houston
maybe
doesn't
they'd
want
add
to
a
trade
pick.
Eric Gordon.
Yeah, but I feel like they're just doing that to raise his value. That's what I believe. Like,
Fair enough.
first of all, you don't need him there right now. He's only going to help you win. You're not really looking to win. You're looking to develop young talent. And
Yeah.
second of all, he could help another team. So, I mean, it's just better for everybody for him to move on, I think.
I hear you. He should for sure. He'll help. He could help a lot of teams. So Wall instead of Russ on the margins probably is a little bit better for LA. Probably, I think Wall ended up finishes better at the rim. It's hard to know exactly where he's at this point because we haven't really seen him play in any kind of meaningful games in a while. But
Higher
he certainly
IQ,
won't
a little
shoot.
bit better spacing.
Yeah, well, he's not going to shoot any better than Russ, is he? I don't think so.
Yes, he is. I think so.
I think he's a little better. I think he's around 32%, 33 maybe.
And he's not.
Okay.
And he's not going to shoot you out of the game and take a
It
whole
is-
bunch
it's-
of them.
Yeah, but I think Russ has cut him down to let's see, Wall. He last year was 32%. Yeah, he's a 32% three-point shooter. Russ maybe is 29 or 30, whatever. It's I don't see much difference there. If you're a 31% three-point shooter or versus 29, like it's bad. So but I don't know. And then you got the locker room stuff. You got to figure that out. I don't know how that works as far as for Russ versus Wall either. But I think if they needed to get Eric Gordon and they had to switch that Russ for Wall, then I probably would do that. Yeah.
Coach Nick Martin is saying, check the super chat, by the way.
Do you think?
Oh no, it didn't pop up in my comments. Oh, here it is. I see it, but that's so weird. I didn't see it. Sorry, 10 minutes ago. Yikes. Okay. Well, listen, Terrence. Anything else you want to talk about real quick? Terrence? No.
No. That's
All right,
it.
Okay, and we're losing you. Okay, let's get so Martin Jose. Forgive me. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's how you get your chats. Let's put them on the screen. Boom, there it is. Who do you think has the best shooting form in the NBA? I will throw this to you, Combo, first. What are your thoughts?
I think Patty Mills.
Ooh, yeah.
I like Patty Mills' form. I was actually thinking about this question today, watching him shoot. Like, I don't know a lot of people with better form than Patty Mills, but I'm sure there's people that could think of somebody better. That's just who comes to mind right now. Like, I really like the way he shoots the basketball.
Yeah, I mean, there's always Clay, which is it's like who's your favorite band? The Beatles. So you don't need to talk about that. Let's get into
exactly. So that's a little bit outside of the box answer.
It's funny. Do I like Karis LeVert shot? I think I like Joe Harris. By the way, I think I like. But who's somebody else I really like? It's just
Paul George has a really smooth shot.
Yeah,
Very
he's got a really
smooth.
nice looking one too. Yeah, I like smooth and effortless. Like that Jason McGrady style of scoring.
Oh,
but
okay.
but
guys that can do it in multiple ways, like off the dribble, it looks nice. Catch and shoot, it looks nice.
Just the rhythm is just nice and easy, and you're not hanging in the air too much and forcing it. So yeah,
that was like a '90s thing when everybody was like kind of robotic, getting high in the air, trying to do like their MJ thing, right?
Yeah, I probably even earlier than that too. Yeah, before the three was a thing. So and by the way, so I noticed one comment in the comments that's Nikosi asks no love for the comment section. Well, we give the love for the comment section when we get super chats. That's the love we give. We might grab a couple random ones in the middle of that in the contents, but I'll keep my eye on the YouTube side for any more super chats. Forgive me for blowing that. It didn't pop up in my StreamYard as clearly as it usually does. Listen, we got somebody wants to come on the show, but I want to do this diagramming stuff. All right, let's do one more person right now, and then don't come on the show. Don't request it for a few minutes. We're gonna do this. Oh, I keep pressing the wrong button. But Arbor, how are you, my man?
Can you hear me?
Kinda. Uh-oh. It's really, really muffled though. Yeah, are you okay?
Yes, I think it's my mic from the AirPods. It's not good.
Okay,
But
now you sound fine.
whatever. Just a quick question. So I was watching the Boston Celtics versus Kings game, and the Kings are now losing by 40, and that
geez.
made me think of it's kind of bad. That made me think that at some point they're gonna break up the backcourt of Holiday. If you were the Kings, which one would you pick?
I lost that last sentence. What was the last thing you said?
So they're gonna have to break up the backcourt of
Yeah.
Halliburton and Fox at some point. That's my opinion, anyways. Which one would you choose?
I would keep Halliburton. I really like how he plays. And in fact, I got to go a deeper dive this year. Last year I went through his game a lot, but I don't know. I mean, listen, Fox is really, really good in that sort of John Wall, Kentucky point guard mold. Really good athlete. Actually, does Fox shoot? Let me see what he's shooting from three these days.
Well, he's not playing well this season.
You know, it's funny. I looked it up the other day because I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't watched hardly any Kings games. So you say he's not playing well, but he's scoring like 21 a game. But yeah, he's shooting 25% from three and just breaking back there.
He doesn't look engaged. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So obviously it's like he doesn't want to be there. Or whatever, something's off with him. So you probably trade him. But then again, his value is now lower.
You know what? I was talking about this on Twitter Spaces. And my guy Pierre from Through the Wire he didn't agree with me at all. If I was in the ear of De'Aaron Fox, I would tell him, you might as well try and lead the league in scoring. Like, you might as well just go out there, because it's only going to hurt yourself if you're not engaged and not playing well, If you're on a bad team, just go for stats. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. Yeah. So there, and by the way, he averaged 25 a game last year and shot much better. So there's definitely evidence there that he's good and he can do that.
Yeah.
It's just the whole Kings organization. It's all just a mess over there. It sounds like, and they can't get it right. So that's brutal. I'm assuming like the Kings don't have. Let's see here. Well, Harrison Barnes, Halliburton, Holmes, Bagley, and Davis. So and Hield is playing too. They don't have Fox, but everybody else is there. They shouldn't be losing by 40 to the Celtics of all people, even though it's on the road in Boston. But so that's what I would do. I'd break up. I would keep Halliburton if I were them. Better contract and a lot of potential.
And on the other hand, if I was Daryl Morey, I wouldn't make that trade without Tyrese Halliburton involved.
Right.
Or Ben, like I would do Harrison Barnes and Tyrese. I would do Fox and Tyrese, but I wouldn't do Harrison and Fox if I was Daryl.
Right. I hear you.
I like how Philly and Philly. I think that would be very good. But
yeah. So, well, Arbor, I got to get to some drawing, but thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I hope you're okay. I hope you're not in somewhere underground. Okay. Are you ready? I'm looking at the starting lineup of the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are plus 30 in net rating. It's so much higher than any other lineup in the NBA. They are literally so dominating people. Wait, we have a super chat real quick. Sorry. Our best friend of the breakdown, BB Coach JW33. Let's put him on the screen. Can you blame Harden for wanting to leave as non-committal as Kyrie has been to the team? Where do you see Harden making one last run in free agency? It's a little bit tough to call Kyrie non-committal because he's got to stand about the vaccines and it's. I think it's not an intelligent stand, but supposedly in this country, you're allowed to have your beliefs. But can I blame Harden for wanting to get out of there? Because now, we're hearing that Harden doesn't, wants to, experience free agency and maybe get out of there. I don't know if I blame him is the right word, but certainly, I don't know. I wonder if it's all cookies and ice cream with those guys back in Brooklyn as it is, That's I thought it was going to be. What do you think, Combo?
Coach Nick, he had a great working relationship with Daryl Morey. I believe if he does leave the Nets, he'll go to the Sixers. And people have been talking about that, but that's what's not talked about enough. Like when he went with D'Antoni and Morey, his career really exploded, and I'm sure he wants to get back to that. Yeah.
That sounds fair to me, and that all makes sense. And so that this is probably why Morey feels like he can kind of wait on the Simmons thing because. But then again, you're going to waste a whole other year of Embiid's prime, which seems really rough too. So, I don't know. But are you ready? I'm going to share the screen real quick. I got to set it up. Damn, I thought I was already set up. Let me do the window here, and we'll do this. And okay, are you ready? Oh, there we go. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that how we want to do it? Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So I went through and I caught a couple plays that I really liked for what the Timberwolves are running on offense to be so damn good. And by the way, it's like their elite offensive rating, their elite defensive rating, and that obviously translates to the crazy net rating that they're just destroying teams out there. In fact, they probably just need to play that lineup more. They play it in the beginning of the game. They play at the beginning of the third, but they don't always come back to that at the end of the game. It's very strange. I don't know why. I was noticing like D'Lo wouldn't be in the game in some of the crunch times. It's strange, unless he got hurt, but I don't think he was hurt. So, all right. So here we go. Are you ready? I'm going to play this at slow speed. Let's see how this went today as I was diagramming. So should we just walk it through? It starts out with a kind of an unbalanced floor when you have Karl-Anthony Towns in a screen for Anthony Edwards while D'Angelo Russell has the ball up top. And then they kind of do this sort of Iverson cut to the wing. Now, there's a couple options out of this. And what I saw them do was they'd hit Cat in the high post area, and then they're going to do a split here and into a handoff. And then Anthony Edwards can now attack. In the play I have, Anthony Edwards does an ISO and then scores at from behind the 3-point line. But you can imagine all the other things they can get out of this action here with Cat rolling. In fact, let's talk about this. We can, with Anthony Edwards has the ball here. Let's go red. What do you say? He can throw the ball here real quick, and then they can throw a quick duck into Cat down low, and he can go to work where he's been doing very nicely down low in the post. So how about you? Do you see any other kind of wrinkles you see out of this combo?
Yeah, I would ask you, would you have more plays where Cat pops rather than roll if you were the coach?
Oh, gosh. Hang on. How do I get out of this? Yes. Well, that's the question because, let's see. What is Cat shooting right now from three? Because he's shown that he can shoot that way. Let's see.
Definitely shown he could shoot that way.
Yeah, he's at 40% of 5.5 a game. I think what he's doing is fine. 5.5 games at 40% is pretty damn good. I don't know if he has to go much higher than that. But it's worth. You know what? I need to go check and see how they're getting those threes. The next play I do might have that in there. I got to remember now. But either way, let's watch this one again, and we'll kind of get a handle on this because this is cool. This is from Lucio Sports, and it's called Assists, and this is what NBA teams use on the bench. A lot of NBA teams use this. They also use it for their players. I am going to launch a whole community on their site where you can download the app and be part of my community. And we're going to go through clips and you can submit like your ideas for how we're going to do it. And if I like them, we're going to share them on YouTube and the big shows. So be prepared. We're going to launch that very soon where I'm going to be able to do it. And then once a week, I'm going to have a show where we're just doing clips. But anyway, let's do this again. So again, D'Angelo Russell brings the ball up. We got a nice little flare screen here, which, by the way, Russell could make that pass to Anthony Edwards in the left wing. And he's got, if the pass goes here to there, then look, he's got this whole area to go to work if he wanted to. And then Cat can kind of duck in there if he wants to, or he
the
can.
Only thing there is like the offense kind of stops, right? It's probably going to be ISO for Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it would be nice if you hit him, Anthony Edwards here, and he just splits on the catch and just goes, because now you got stuff. You can do this, and you can, flare a little hammer out of that. You can do a lot of different things out of that little action that can get shots for everybody else too. Or, even let's say they don't do the hammer, you can just have him, he quickly goes. Now Cat's here, quick little pass here, or he's got the two guys spotting up, Vanderbilt or Pat Beverly, who, can shoot a little bit out there. Beverly has been shooting well. I got to look at all their numbers, but that's a nice little action that they run, which is great to see. And then again, it creates a lot of space around the basket for them to attack. So that's one. Anything else you want to comment about this one combo before?
You ever notice international players are better at catching it downhill, kind of like in the situation you were talking about? I feel like American players it's more stop and start, if that makes sense. Have you ever noticed that?
The one thing I noticed about the Europeans they teach is the run and catch. So they're kind of running into it. I've never been able to match that. I have to lift both feet in the air on the catch, split, and then land and go.
But
those guys,
it's conducive to great flow, and that's part of the reason why they're so good at 3x3, because that's a flow sport,
Yeah, and then Deucin Bullet is just a fantastic 3x3 player. He's probably the best in the world, the Chris Paul of the 3x3. And that Croatian team, I think it's Croatia, they put together the perfect mix of good ball handling guard and then a couple of long guys that can rebound a little bit, but they can also shoot. It's 2-to-1, right? You're shooting 2-pointers and ones.
Yeah,
so
the analytics on that
huge.
is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's huge, and not enough of the Americans take advantage of it, and they didn't even qualify for the Olympics. It's embarrassing. Okay. Let's go to what I called slip pistol. What you see on the Timberwolves offense a lot is slipped ball screens, which is what, they're anticipating a switch or a hedge, and that gets the ball screener out of there quickly, and it puts the defense immediately in a disadvantage. So this is what happens on this one. Let's see if we can watch this. And by the way, how smooth is this playing back? Is it smooth?
Yeah.
For you? Yeah. All right, good. Okay, so This starts out with the quick Vanderbilt slip screen for D'Angelo Russell. He doesn't stay there very long. He's out of there. He's gone before we got to have it. And he slips it, and then Russell turns around and gives it to him on top. Then we have a nice little pin that way action down in the corner into a handoff, which is more of that pistol action I like for Anthony Edwards coming out. Anthony Edwards, by the way, has got a really good offhand. His left hand is good.
He's super. I mean, everybody talks about his athleticism. He's super skilled. He got a whole bunch of finishes in the lane.
Oh, I know. He reminds me of you know what people want to talk about, like, you know, listen, Ja Morant is basically Iverson with a little bit more of a jump shot, right? Edwards might be Jordan. He might have Jordan feel. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you this. To me, he's a future MVP. I truly believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. He moves. You know, there hasn't been a guy with the movement patterns of Michael Jordan really since Michael Jordan. You know, Len Bias might have been the only other guy that I can remember moved like that. Anthony Edwards is that guy. And maybe even like more powerful. Like he maybe like in that powerful notion of like Clyde Drexler, but he could shoot it better. And so Anthony Edwards is the key here. The more he plays, the better they are. And so you can see why it's nice
crazy.
To go
before they made that coaching change, they just had him sitting in the corner. That's what, you know, that's when his game really exploded, when he became part of the offense, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's watch this again. So it starts with Russell, a slip screen on the Vanderbilt, and he hits him there on top. And then that triggers Beverly setting a pin down into a dribble handoff. And yeah, you can get a lot of things here, because what I like about this is, you know, if Vanderbilt rolls here, the guy that's going to want to help is Beverly's man here. He's going to want to help, and then that means Beverly can lift here, and then Edwards can, you know, easily kind of turn in the air even and fire the pass out here for a three. And if he can get like Karl Anthony Towns man as its center, right? This guy is definitely going to have the instinct to go help no matter what. Most big men will do that as he dribbles in the lane, and that's where Cat's going to get some of those threes you're talking about. Real easy, one pass away help into the corner for an open shot. And then, you know, Russell is, you know, the forgotten guy out here. He's really good, right? He really can pass the ball. He can handle the ball. You know, I don't know, you know, if, you know, emotionally, if he's developed enough, because, you know, he had real issues in LA. He had some issues, I think, in Golden State. But, you know, the guys like that can mature and maintain that slipperiness, right? He's a lefty, and he's just hard to keep in front. You know, he's a real viable guy. So I hope this all made sense. Do you see anything else you want to point out?
Have you noticed that a lot of the bigs in the NBA are rim runners now, and there's very few bigs that could post up and shoot the three? I mean, Vucevic and Cat come to mind, but besides that, there's not a lot, right?
Well,
I mean, Embiid obviously, and Jokic, but that's a whole different level, you know. But I'm just saying in general, it's more like rim running now.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, listen, every team wants to open up the basket area as much as possible, so that's important.
Right.
And so rim running, at least if you're there, then you can get out again, versus, go plant yourself on that block and stay there. And by the way, I don't even know if I like those post-ups anyway. I prefer seeing guys like a post-up I like to see is when, let's say it's, like here, if Cat gets if this is Cat here, set a screen for him across. Yeah. Let him get across here and hit him while he's moving almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
on the attack, on the catch.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense from a post-up point of view, and just everywhere on the court. You want everything constantly moving. And I think I think the whole NBA is trending away from stagnation in ISO basketball, if you really watch it, and which teams are really playing well. The only way you could do well in a stagnant type offense is if you have like a KD, or if you have a Michael Jordan, then you could go to ISO ball. You almost have to defy the odds, Right.
But Michael Jordan learned the hard way that like all those ISOs got a lot easier when you had a lot of movement into it. And then he got just hyper efficient with attacking right on the catch and doing his turnaround fadeaways from the post right away, because he didn't want to get banged upon and have to rely maybe on a ref to call a foul or not call a foul. Just get your shot, get it, get attack before the defense is ready. It's really the best way to play in my mind. That's that Euro sense too, that run and catch stuff that they do is really cool.
I mean, if you can make a NBA top talent play like EuroLeague style of play, I mean, that's almost unstoppable. I mean, the Warriors took some of it from, international play, I mean,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have some international guys on their
Exactly.
on their bench right now. So without question, yes, there's that's all coming in this way. So it's great to see, and it'll make the game more interesting to watch. And now that the referees are letting the players play a little bit more on defense, like it becomes more of a, okay, let's see what's going to happen, a little more of a surprising game here, because I thought that was the other problem, was it was just too easy for the offense. It's the last several years you couldn't really do anything on defense. And then hopefully we'll get some more of these guys like Lou Dort and Thibault and those guys who are like all-stars on the defensive end, and they deserve more love.
Yeah, Thibault is super unique as a defender, man. Super athletic. Yeah.
Yeah. He, by the way, when I pointed this out, he uses a lot of the offensive footwork on defense, and we need to do that more. We need to be able to use the same kind of split and go that we use when we attack on the catch and the wing, just like on defense. And that's the same kind of explosive movements that you can mirror and be much better. He does that without question. You watch him; he looks like he's shooting a floater on a lot of his contests, like from behind. Right? He's doing the floater footwork, even though he isn't on the ball. He's on defense. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes such a difference. Every split second makes so much of a difference at the NBA level, right?
For sure. Yeah.
That's the difference between a block or a good contest or 3 points. And over time, that all adds up.
Well, listen, Combo, this has been a great conversation, and it went places I had no idea where it was going to go, because that's what's the best part about this whole thing. But we're I think we're at the end here. Anything you want to shout out?
Combo's Court Podcast. Go rate, review, subscribe, tune in. And thanks so much, Coach Nick, for having me back on your platform. Can't wait to continue this with you. Yes, just like Bruce Dickinson needs more cowbell, we need more Combo. And so you got to go follow his did I just go over your head? Are you not aware of the SNL sketch with Bruce Dickinson?
I was like, where is he going with this? That's why I was like, watching something on TV?
I got a fever, and the only cure is more cowbell. It's Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live, and they're recording "Don't Fear the Reaper" with the famous cowbell. If you haven't seen it, go watch it right now on YouTube. It's the funniest thing, and freaking Fallon and Parnell are like keep laughing in the background. But anyway, check out Combo's podcast. I will promise to post this, I think, tomorrow soon. I screwed up last time I didn't do it, but I will post it as a audio pod as well on my feed ASAP. And don't forget, sports fans, at B-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?
Coach Nick, we're all in.